welcome to Live at Captain Tom's!
Live at Captain Tom's is an internet-based music show from Aberdeen, Scotland. The show is broadcast every month on a Saturday morning, live on kpx.tv and on YouTube, and was started on the 12th of April 2014 by Tom Simmons, owner of Captain Tom's recording studio, where Live at Captain Tom's takes place, and Fat Hippie Records. The programme aims to showcase a wide variety of different bands and artists, most from the local Aberdeen music scene, helping to promote their music through performances and interviews, which are introduced and carried out by the incredible personalities of the hosts, Scott Ironside and Magenta, who never fail to keep the viewers entertained. I managed to catch the captain himself for a quick chat on how the show came to be and where he hopes it will continue on to in the future. Thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed.
My pleasure.
When starting Live at Captain Tom's a year ago, what were your intentions and thought process behind starting the show?
Well, because of the way the show came about, it was a sound engineer in Aberdeen that was really well known, a musician, passed away, and we put on a big gig for him at the Lemon Tree, and the people that did the live streaming for that gig that were friends of somebody that he knew and stuff, and basically a lot of people that hadn't got together before all got together that night. And everything that's happened with Live at Captain Tom since then is arguably because of that night. Was us all meeting one another, and then once we kind of had the pieces lying around, it was almost like a jigsaw waiting to be made. You know, like, wait a minute, if you can do that, and I've got one of these, and you've got that, we know loads of bands, we could have our own TV show, and it just kind of happened, if you see what I mean. You know, obviously by that point, you know, I'd already been running Captain Tom's for 17 years and my record label for 12 years, so I was heavily involved in stuff anyway, so I guess once the idea came together, I think I knew it would probably work. If it sort of technology-wise worked, that was the bit that I didn't trust, but I kind of knew the bands would be up for it, and if it was of a reasonable standard, then it'd probably pick up. Yeah. To be honest with you, where we are now, you know, just a little over a year into the whole thing, but, you know, already getting into our 10th episode and in the middle of our 3rd season and stuff like that, I'm a little bit unsure about where it goes next, and I would kind of like somebody else to come and tell me. I would kind of like the bands to tell me what it is they want out of the next bit, because I'm not really sure. I think it's got to keep going because people like it and it seems to be an important part of the scene of them all. But how it keeps going, whether it evolves, whether it just remains very similar to the way it's been, we just keep it going as it is and kind of use it as that resource, and people just know there's a Live at Captain Tom's. If you're touring in Scotland, you can go up there and appear on that. If you've got a new band, you can get in touch, you can come on the show. You know, where will it go? I don't know.
After hearing how important the feedback from the community around Live at Captain Tom's is to Tom himself and for the success of the series, I decided it was definitely time to talk to the presenters for their thoughts and feelings about the show. Unfortunately, the wonderful Scott Ironside was unavailable to be interviewed. However, I was extremely lucky, as the equally wonderful and exceptionally talented John Martin, who is not only Scott's stand-in host, but is also the lead singer of the Lorelei, an incredible band signed to Fat Hippie Records and who have performed on the show, was very happy to chat, alongside the fantastic and beautiful Magenta. How have your experiences been with being interviewers and presenters for the show of Live at Captain Tom's?
Well, I think Magenta's a natural. You're mentoring me.
Which is that's a bizarre concept.
Because I totally trust you.
That's weird.
Yeah, I just do though.
That's weird.
Because I come and see you and I say, right, what does this word mean? It says, that's you, John. You know, that's kind of cool, right? But then equally, I also just kind of fly off the handle half-assed as well, if needs be. But you're my mentor.
That's so bizarre.
Well, you have been doing this since the start of Live at Captain Tom, so how did you get into the whole process of becoming the presenter?
Basically, I had covered a shift at Slane's for another girl, and then I was like, you know what, I fancy a Friday night off. I want to go see Dear John. As you can see, we're wearing Kiss My Kunst clothing. And because I modelled for Kiss My Kunst, Dear John is the house band, and I had never really seen them live, so obviously wanted to go. So I was like to this girl I covered the shift for, right, you're doing my shift on Friday night, I'm having a night off. Went to downstairs with everybody, had a good night, and then at one point, Louise from Kiss My Kunst, she came up to me. It was really funny because I blanked Scott Ironside like 5 minutes before I actually met him. I was outside having a breath of fresh air and I was talking away to some people, and then everybody had to go back inside, and I was standing back by myself, and there was Rach in the corner, and then there was Scott Ironside standing by the window, and he looked at me, I looked at him, and I went, oh no, you haven't gone back inside, and then went away. And then Louise came up to me 5 minutes later and was like, you have to meet this man, and you have to do this thing because you would be perfect for it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then all of a sudden she drags over this man. I just went, nah, I'm not talking to you. Nah. Brought him over to me and was like, he was over, yes, so I'm the co-host and I need another female co-host, and Louisa said, and the KMK people, blah blah blah. Get in touch with Captain Tom. I had been really like intimidated by Tom, and then on that night I'd kind of met him as well, and he's a very standoffish guy. He's a quiet guy. Yeah. Like, it's very hard to imagine, you know, not talking to him as much as I do now. Like that first meeting, it was kind of like, whoa, you are Captain Tom. There are no words. I know that I've fundamentally changed as a person being involved in this like family.
After hearing and seeing just how much of a family Live at Captain Tom's really is when talking to John and Magenta, I decided it was time to hear firsthand from an upcoming local musician who had played on the show and been involved in a collaborative flash mob project organised by Magenta to bring our university project, Music Speaks, together with local musicians. And so I set off to speak with the highly gifted dark country musician, Craig Duncan. As a local and upcoming artist who has played on Live at Captain Tom's, what do you feel you've gained from the experience?
From appearing on Live at Captain Tom's, I've met lots of people within the local community, and I've made lots of connections, so I've managed to get involved with more projects and just generally get to work with new people, which is great.
What impact do you think that Live at Captain Tom's has on local musicians as far as collaborations and working as a community?
Well, it's basically the central hub of Aberdeen music, so everyone that goes on the show gets to meet everyone, like people that come along, or a lot of musicians come along, so you can meet people that way, and then you can just get to collaborate and stuff, just meeting for these people.
And what are your next steps now after appearing on Live at Captain Tom's? Do you have any upcoming projects?
I'm currently working on an EP called Craig Duncan and the Outlaws for my assessment for NC music, and just generally doing lots of gigs thanks to being on Captain Tom's.
It was becoming apparent to me just how important these opportunities for collaboration and exposure really are to the musicians, and so I knew I had to head back to talk to Magenta about her flash mob and how important it really was for this community.
I co-host Live at Captain Tom's, and I'm a bit of a mentalist, and I am at 4th year uni, so I decided to link the two together because I'm super organised like that, and created an advert for Live at Captain Tom's through Project Music Speaks, which ended with a flash mob event in the Bonaccord Centre. It was filmed by KPX, mostly used musicians that had been on Live at Captain Tom's before, plus people that were just interested. We put together a 8-minute long musical arrangement mixing local music from these local musicians with popular songs such as Happy and Uptown Funk. The whole flash mob is available on YouTube, but we cut it down to a small advert and mixed it with a street invasion that we did a year ago, and used it to promote Live at Captain Tom this month. I wanted to bring several different groups together that I worked with. I worked with Live at Captain Tom's, I work with a dance company, and I work at the college with a Learning Opportunities Choir. They told me it was impossible. I put it together. Lots of fun things are now happening. Craig Duncan and the Outlaws happened, which is our very own lovely Emma Hall with Craig Duncan. Obviously, I do guest vocals. And then Roswell happened, which is myself and the bassist from the Flash Mob Byron. Flash Mob happened in 8 weeks. Okay? It happened and it was good.
If anything has become abundantly clear to me when working closely with this community, it's that Live at Captain Tom's really is a family, one which welcomes everyone with open arms. I am extremely honoured to have found myself working closely with such an incredible group of people, and this part of my life and my time with them is something that I will forever cherish and never forget.
I like being here. I like this juncture of my life, and I'm happy with the family, and I suck at interviews.